Okay guys, so I'm gonna make Hearty hamburger soup, it's called. So I start out with 2 pounds of hamburger. So I'm gonna start getting that cooking. So I'm gonna start cooking this a bit, and then I'm gonna add an onion. I have a full onion cut up, 3 10-ounce cans of beef broth. I don't have canned beef broth, but what I do have is a broth base, beef broth, and I love this stuff. I love this stuff. So if you boil water, you can add 2 level teaspoons to each cup of water. I'm just gonna do right around 4 cups. And that's 32 ounces, so I'm gonna get that boiling, and then I'll make that. Okay, so my beef's cooking pretty good. So I'm actually going to add my onions in there now. I'm cooking over medium heat. One thing, so when I was a kid, I'd turn this stuff on high and I'd just cook it as fast as I can. Well, then the hamburger tends to be really tough. So in lower heat is actually better. I mean, I'm sure most know this, but you don't want to overcook it. So a lower heat is a little bit better, but you still obviously have to cook it. So. I'm gonna go until it's just no longer pink. Like, it's starting to look pretty good, but you know, if you get down in there, there's a couple pieces that are still, like there was one. Add my garlic, and this is like about 5 cloves of garlic. I love garlic. The recipe itself called for 1 teaspoon. Like, what is that? So this is my recipe. This is what I do. Now I'm going to let this go until I can just start, turn that up, to smell the garlic. So I know it's getting cooked. I'm also going to put about a teaspoon, that's my guess of a teaspoon, of salt in there. I am one to season as I go, instead of seasoning all at the end. And now here, this is a time that if you needed to, you would drain off any excess fat. But as you can see, I mean, I actually added a tablespoon of butter to this before I cooked it, and there is no extra fat. I mean, well, there's just a little bit. And I'm not going to drain that off. That's out of 2 pounds. It's not going to hurt it at all. I like the flavor, but that's up to you what you would like to do. So now I'm gonna add in, I had 2 carrots, 3 stems of celery, and half of a packet, like an 8-ounce pack of mushrooms. You don't have to have the mushrooms if you don't like them, but we do. I'm gonna stir it all together. This is going to simmer for 3 hours, so that's why I'm throwing in the vegetables. I'm not overcooking them or anything like that. Put that in there. Now it calls for an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, and it also calls for a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. And what I'm doing, I have some stewed tomatoes from the garden, I have a whole quart. I'm gonna add that in there now. And it does have some corn in it. I'm not worried about that. It's, like I said, it's stewed tomatoes. That's what we just added in there. And I have half of a pint of tomato sauce from canning. And so that's equals a can, about a can of tomato sauce that I use. So an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce if you were to go to the store. Now this is the first time I actually used stewed tomatoes that had corn in it. So there's just a little bit of added extra into our soup this time, a little corn. So basically it's like a vegetable soup. And from there, I also need some thyme and pepper. I'm gonna get my water. And it says level teaspoons, I never do that. 3 cups. 4 cups. A little whisk. This will be better than any canned beef broth, unless you can your own. So I'm gonna add that. And it also, in the original recipe, you can also add 2 cups of water if you want, but this is kind of how we like it. We really like a thick stew type meal, so I'm actually not gonna add any water to that. As you can see, this is pretty good. And now you need a half a cup of barley. Rolled barley, but I don't have any. So I always overfill everything. That's just what I do. And there I got my barley in there. Give that a stir. Yeah, for me this is plenty of liquid. I don't need any more. The barley will obviously swell and absorb some of that moisture even. And we also need a bay leaf. I add 2 for good luck. And I need thyme. About a teaspoon. So I'm just going to guess again. It's about a teaspoon. Tablespoon of parsley. That's about a tablespoon in there. And about half a teaspoon of black pepper. I normally like the, well, that's way more than half a teaspoon. It's just pepper, so I'm not too worried about it. Alright, now I'm going to grab a spoon and taste it. Now mind you, it's going to taste a lot different in 3 hours than it does right now. The seasonings will meld together. But I think that's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is bring it to a boil, reduce the heat to low, and simmer it for 3 hours. Trying to make sure if I have everything. After I bring it to a boil, I'll reduce heat, and then I'll cover it and simmer it for 2 hours. Stirring frequently. Before you eat it, make sure you remove the bay leaves, or if you get them in your bowl, just don't eat them. Okay, well yeah. I will show you the end result. Here. You know, when we're eating dinner, so Really quick, easy to toss together. So we'll be back. Here is the finished product. Really nice hearty soup.